Hi guys, Azlin here. How are you doing on this beautiful Friday? I am loving the weather. It's official. It's monsoon season here in Singapore. It's been raining. The weather has been really cool, and it's a in Singapore. You know, if it's not hot, it's raining. So I welcome the rainy weather. It's been quite hot for the past few days and raining in the evening, so it's cool. Okay, so I hope you guys are doing great. And today's video, basically, I'm actually sharing a book that I read. I've been reading for the past two days. 2 days. Yep. I bought this book. It's inverted. Let me just read out for you. It's Ego is the Enemy, right? And it's by Ryan Holiday. Now this book I grabbed and go when I was on my way to Sabah, right? One of the 3 books that I grabbed and go. Why did I grab this book? The title is really outstanding, right? And I was really intrigued to find out what this guy had to talk about the ego. Okay, so ego is the enemy. So how do I sum up this book? Okay, this book, basically Ryan shared on the space that he's coming from, writing this book. Now, Ryan was basically a child prodigy. He was very successful from the age of 19, very entrepreneurial, a boy who likes to take a lot of risks in life, and he did really well for himself. He got himself a job under marketing with a company that was well known back then, called American Apparel, and he was on a flying streak that, you know, he got offers to write books, you know. So yeah, so that went all well for him until he reached a point in his life. I think he was 21 or 22, where he experienced a lot of challenges and obstacles. Somehow the company didn't do well. The company that he was working for didn't do well, and there were so many mentors that he know then, and he saw how the experience of failing, or when challenges come your way, how it changes a person. And this really opened up his eyes, right? And he lost his job. He eventually lost his job. His book deal, something went wrong. Something didn't go well for him, and yeah, and so many other places. So basically, he wrote this book, not because he knows about motivation and stuff, but I guess he's like me, where he writes a book because he wants people, maybe many people, ask themselves the same question as he did when he was going through those turbulent times, and where people don't talk about this topic about your ego. Okay, so he wrote this book. He said, no, I'm writing this book because at that point in time in my life, I wish that this was actually said to me, and that's why I wrote this book. And it's amazing. He compiled a lot of case studies, as in stories of people, successful people, who eventually either died a tragic death or experienced a meltdown, you know. And the theme that I noticed when I was reading this, is when someone allows success and failure to get to their heads. Okay, this book is a good reminder to what not to be when you are successful and when you are just living, you know. I would not recommend reading this book if you are looking for something empowering. Like, I know there will be certain days where you want to read books that make you feel good, that makes you feel empowered. Now this book is not for that. He really focuses, as the title says it, ego is the enemy. So he really focuses on how ego is bad, how ego can destroy your life in any parts or any phases of your life, be it when you are successful, be it when you are failing, be it when you are when you feel inspired, basically what he says is true. Ego is present every time, all right. It's in you. This is a good book. If you one of the topics that I really like was when he shared the story about the well-known warrior, the conqueror Genghis Khan, right? Genghis Khan is known to be this crazy dominating figure who, I mean, in all due respect, he actually conquered vast amounts of land, right? He and his soldiers, right? And he is also well known for his barbaric nature, for his very alpha male kind of character. But what Ryan said about him that I didn't know was that Genghis Khan was successful in his conquering quest because he always is a student. That means regardless how successful he has been in terms of conquering countries and becoming a ruler, he always zeroes himself in terms of learning. He's a conqueror that makes use of technologies that was beyond their times, because he mixes around with only successful people, like the successful astrologers, successful negotiators, back then. And it's because of his ability to keep himself to a level of a student, telling himself that regardless how successful I may be, the moment I think I know it all is the day that I will not be the best conqueror that this life will ever know, right? And that's interesting, because that's the thing about ego. Okay, it is, I feel ego is not all bad. Okay, ego in fact is something that can give you a positive drive, right? In my opinion, there's healthy ego and there's bad ego. All right. Healthy ego is always there to allow you to be driven, encourage you to be driven, encourage you to be confident about yourself, right? It only is when you forget about the true intention of you doing something. I'm for those of you who follow me, you guys would have heard, like, I tell you that whatever it is that you may want to do, like for me, everything that I do, I will set an intention first. Why am I doing this? Why am I buying this? And it's different from justification. It's different from justification. Justification is like, okay, like maybe like you choose to buy a Porsche because I'm buying a Porsche so that people will look at me differently, so that and maybe in your line of work, you may not even require a Porsche, but you just want that social acceptance. Okay, so yeah, that's the bad kind of ego. A good kind of ego is I'm buying a Porsche because, okay, we look at your nature of the work. For me, it's fine if you want to buy a Porsche if, number one, you can afford it, number two, because it elevates you to another level in your career. Like example, if you were a real estate agent, okay, or if you are a banker, doing investments, sharing on investments, and you are driving a Ferrari or a Porsche. For me, if the intention is basically to gain so that your clients will have a certain amount of respect for you, right? Because honestly, we are living in a materialistic and superficial world. So as long as that intention of buying the Porsche, I mean, you don't have you don't have a family, you know, you're single, you don't have a big family, and you love fast cars, and you buy that Porsche from that perspective, from that intention, that because I love fast cars, you know, it's my dream to always having own one, and it's practical enough because I know I don't have a big family, you know. So and at the same time, it elevates my credibility in being a banker, you know. Like, my clients will look at me with more conviction and more trust. All right, I mean, we live in that world. But if the intention is like that versus, or I mean, like, you know, I just want to show people that I got a car, you know, like I can afford this, you know, I'm not like some worthless person that doesn't do anything for his life, you know. Like, yeah, it comes with both, in both ways. So yeah, it is, for me, ego is just becomes harmful to you if, let's say, you don't, if you stray away from the initial intention that you set for yourself. And when you start focusing, when you do something, like, it's focused more on self rather than how can what I do benefit the mass out there, right? So yeah, so for me, honestly, ego is not all bad. I mean, it's in all of us. It is a chip inbuilt in all of us. If it is something that comes in us, I don't doubt our creator, right? I don't doubt the Almighty. I don't think that he gives us something that is all bad, you know. It's always for something good. All right, it's only when you misuse it. Okay, so right, so that is one of the biggest takeaway from me from this book. To always remember your intentions, to always zero myself, regardless how much achievements I have, that I am always a student, right? I'm always learning and then applying what I've learned to share with the rest of the world, so that how it benefits me can benefit them. I mean, that's exactly like what I'm doing right now in my life. For those of you who do not know my story, maybe let me just share a little bit, right? So I used to work in a bank, and I opt to be away from the corporate life because I value time, freedom. I value my time, and I really look forward to, I really appreciate work-life balance, right? And I have been, I jumped into the fitness and wellness industry, which that never came across my mind to ever think about being in the industry. But fate has it, I was in it, and I fell in love with the industry because I realized that whatever that I learned, I could really help people. And there are many people who are sick out there, you know. Like, diabetes is on the rise here in Singapore, and diabetes is on the rise not only for adults but for kids, you know. And that just reflects how we are feeding ourselves, and how are we teaching the next generation to feed themselves, you know. So and personally for me, I lost my mom, and at a tender age of 52. She was very young, to a sudden heart attack. I lost my grandmother to stage 4 bladder cancer. It was a relapse. And I lost my auntie to stage 4 breast cancer, and all of this within the same year. This was in 2014. So, like, I lost my grandmother in April, I lost my mom in June, and I lost my auntie in December, right? And that was a huge wake-up call for me, right? I was doing business before all that happened. I came from the space of doing business to achieve a good status in my life, you know, to have all the money, leading the lifestyle, you know, because I'm a Gen Y and I'm ambitious like that, you know. And with the conditioning of watching TV, especially MTV, and looking at all these big houses, big cars, people with all the big houses and big cars, and and they keep talking about the 5 C's, you know, your cash, credit card, car, condo, and whatever. You know, condition my mind to being a consumer, means to buy and buy and buy without thinking why it is that you got to buy, you know. So this is the conditioning of the media. Now that's another topic that I like to talk about, so that's for another day. So anyways, so when that happened to me, it really was a wake-up call. Now, if I don't do anything, right, I just feel that I'm being selfish. Ego. I'm just being selfish if I decide not to do anything after experiencing the passing of 3 ladies, with people that I love and adore a lot. As I grew up with them. You know, my mom, my grandma, my auntie, she took care of me while my mom and my dad were working, right, at that time. So I was quite close with her. And to lose these 3 ladies within 1 year, how can that not be a wake-up call? How can that not inspire me to go out, to continue sharing about the importance of health? And regardless, no matter how much money you have in your wallet right now, if you don't take care of your health, if you don't take care of your body, there's no meaning to having all that money. You know, having all that money, you can, you know, like for me, like I'm gonna create a foundation that's gonna build schools and homes for people all over the world, right? Third world countries or wherever, you know, wherever there needs to be shelter. My dream is to have a foundation that helps all these people, right? So if I'm unwell and I have all this money, I have all this wealth, but I don't have my health, how am I supposed to make that happen, right? So health is wealth, wealth is health. It's a balance. It's all about balance. So this is the message. So that's why, you know, my intentions of actually doing things must be right and must be aligned, and only then I believe that, you know, I will be able to do this. Support will come naturally as energies are aligned, and I'll be successful. So yep, so that is my takeaway actually about managing your ego. This book is all about how ego is bad for you. I mean, it's a good read in the form of giving you reminders about how harmful ego can be, how ego can actually destroy a person if you are too focused in, when you become too focused in. And he gives stories after stories after stories about people who were amazing, who were given status, and they change because once you become successful, many people don't realize that once you become successful, you will be exposed to new experiences and new roles, right? And like, for example, if you were a chef in a restaurant, and you elevate yourself and you become successful and you become the person who owns the restaurant, you are no longer focusing in doing. Your life, your role will be more focusing on making decisions. So it's a different shift altogether, you know. Instead of doing, you're more thinking. So, you know, if you get a lot in your head, right, and you get all that success to be in you, and you get big-headed, I mean, definitely you have strayed away from the initial intention of, you know, just focusing on, maybe if example as a chef, you wanna cook good food, make people happy through your food, right? Feed people, and you'll do pro bono work. You will cook for free and then give to people who are living in the shelter, something like that, you know. But when you allow success to get in your head, and it's all about you, maybe getting on that cover of a magazine, it's all about you being recognized, you know, you're using your fame to for a different purpose, you know, it gets to your head. That is when the ego can be an enemy. But if you were to see, if you were to stay aligned to your intentions, that you know, that I'm doing this because I can make a lot of people happy. Many people will be able to, you know, to learn from me and make their lives better from applying what they've learned from me. I mean, that would be great, isn't it? And because of that drive that you want that to happen, that's the ego pushing you, you know. Ego is good. All right. So if you want reminders, a wake-up call to always stay humble, to always have humility in your heart, and grab this book by Ryan Holiday. It's a very easy to read book, and I love it because it has a lot of stories. You know, stories always make me stay glued. You know, stories about people who have done it and experienced success, failure, and how they allow ego to affect themselves negatively. All right. But my 2 cents worth is, there's more to ego. This is just one side of things. Read more books and see the other side of ego, and use it to your benefit, right? Focus on having healthy ego, happy ego, good ego. Okay, so take care, guys. Till the next video, until the next book sharing session. Read more books. Read a book a day. It will change your life. I swear by it. I mean, I wasn't an avid reader, but thank you, Ty Lopez, for inspiring me. He reads a book a day. Amazing. And till the next one. All right. Bye bye. Take care.